R2, welcome to the Udvar-Hazy Center. We opened this building in 2003 to showcase our huge collection of aviation and space artifacts. You can see things from the very beginning of aviation history all the way through to today, including our space shuttle Discovery, and that's our first stop. Now, space shuttles were designed to be reusable, and I know where you come from, they're all reusable, but our space shuttle flew 39 separate missions for a total of 365 days in space. And when astronauts are on board Discovery, they can't walk around like in the Star Wars universe. They float around because they're orbiting the Earth. And let me tell you, the Space Shuttle Discovery in 1990 launched the Hubble Space Telescope into Earth orbit. And that gives scientists here on Earth the ability to see galaxies far, far away. I don't know if you realize this, but you're actually part of the museum's collection too. Well, at least some versions of you are part of our collection. We have a really cool version of you that looks an awful lot like a mailbox. And we have a very small little toy that represents you as well. In the 1970s, when Star Wars was being developed by George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, his very good friend, was developing a movie too called Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And while they were both working on those films together, they were inspired by everyday things. And the people who built the model for Close Encounters actually snuck a little version of you in there. They snuck lots of things in there actually, just everyday items that you would recognize. So we should go take a look at that. So R2, this is the SR71 Blackbird. It was designed during the Cold War as a reconnaissance aircraft, which means it was flying over different parts of the world looking for information. It's known as one of the leakiest hunks of junk in our galaxy because the skin didn't meet each of the joints. So as the aircraft would go faster and faster, all the way up to about Mach 3.2, the skin would get hotter and hotter, and then those sections would get closer and closer together, making it a pretty stable aircraft. It's very sleek in its design, and it's actually the fastest aircraft we've ever built. This aircraft is an awful lot like an X-Wing, which I think you've been on a few times. The navigation system could be removed, just like an astromech droid could go into and out of an X-Wing or any other starfighter. So I would imagine that the design of this aircraft looks a little bit familiar to you, R2. It's just like a J-type 327 Nubian cruiser, just like the one that you repaired as Queen Amidala was trying to escape Naboo during the Trade Federation's blockade of the planet. Okay, I got it. Let's move on to the next thing. So in designing the Star Wars universe, George Lucas thought a lot about the things that were happening in air and space back in the time that he was writing the story. And so when designing costumes for those characters to wear, these were the inspiration for that. The astronauts who were starting out in NASA in the 1960s, and those pilots who were flying in SR71s wore uniforms like these. And you can see that the orange color of this flight suit looks just like Luke Skywalker's X-Wing pilot uniform. So R2, I want to introduce you to the Vaught F4U Corsair. These aircraft flew during World War II and the Korean War. And during World War II in the Pacific, they flew off of carriers to escort bombers like the B29 Liberator. Now you might recognize it because of its design. It's got this special wing design called a gull wing, And it's also got a very domed cockpit, and you might recognize it as something that's similar to a V-19 Torrent, which were of course used during the Clone Wars and flew in space. So I want to introduce you to one of probably the most famous aircraft in our collection. This is the B29 Super Fortress Enola Gay. B-29s were designed during World War II to carry very large payloads long distances. And this particular type of B-29 was designed to carry nuclear weapons. In fact, this B-29 dropped the atomic bomb on Japan in the summer of 1945. You know what? You're exactly right. The cockpit design here does look very familiar for those of us who know about Star Wars. The design of the Millennium Falcon's cockpit is actually inspired by the cockpit design of the B-29. R2, I want to thank you for coming to visit us today at the Smithsonian's National Air and Space Museum. Next time you and your friends are in this part of the galaxy, be sure to stop by and say hi.